How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Coyote Corner. Well, pride may have been the only thing at stake during Saturday's season finale against North Dakota State, but the effort on the field, as it has all year, suggested much more than that. For the second straight season, the Coyotes went toe-to-toe with the FCS champions as they tried to become the first team to beat the Bison in consecutive seasons since 2010. A USD victory would also have snapped NDSU's string of 5 straight MVFC titles. First quarter, Yotes looking to answer an early Bison touchdown, and this will do it. Chris Strevler with a dime to Takari Carpenter, 36 yards, and it's 7-7. Second quarter, back come the Bison. Easton Stick over the top to Darius Shepard. Believe it or not, that was the first touchdown catch by an NDSU wide receiver in 5 games. The lead, though, would be short-lived. Strevler looking deep for Brant Van Rukel, and 88 wins the jump ball. 33 yards to the Bison 11. Strevler would finish it off 4 snaps later with his 9th rushing touchdown of the season, 14 all. NDSU strikes again before the half. Stick finds his tight end, Jeff Ilias, and he does the rest. Extra effort gives the Bison a 21-14 halftime lead. They double that advantage in the opening drive of the third quarter. Stick with his 3rd touchdown pass of the day. This one to Connor Wentz, 28-14 visitors. It stayed that way into the fourth. Bison hoping to add some insurance, but the defense delivers a big play. Jet Moreland strips Chase Morlock at the end of a 40-yard run, and South Dakota recovers at its own 35. They cash it in 9 plays later. Strevler finds Alonje Brooks for a 12-yard score, and the Yotes are back within 7. USD would threaten again on its next possession, but on 4th and 9, Strevler's pass falls incomplete, and the Coyotes would not get the football back. NDSU runs out the remaining 4:53 to secure the win and to share their 6th consecutive conference championship. 28-21 is your final. Strevler with another big day in the loss, accounting for 247 total yards and 3 touchdowns. Michael Frederick led the way on the ground with 71 yards on 13 carries, but it wasn't quite enough as the Coyotes come up 1 win short of their first 500 finish in the Valley.
We're right there. Almost all of our games have come down to 1 possession, whether we won or lost, and so going into the offseason, we just gotta remember that, and hopefully we can take that next step next year where when we're winning, we can finish the game, and when we need a possession right there, we can get the ball in the end zone there. We're knocking on the door here, and I think we've made some noise in the conference this year, just letting teams know that we're coming, and we're gonna be working our tails off this offseason. We're gonna be ready to go next year.
I'm so proud of these guys, honestly. I love every one of my teammates, all the coaches, and like you said, they just went out and battled. And I mean, who could ask for more as a senior? For all these guys to go out and give it 110% for the last game, A lot of guys in the locker room said that they were playing for me, and that means so much to me. This team means everything to me, and wish I had 1 more year, but unfortunately it comes to an end. I'm just extremely proud of these guys.
Well, with that, Bob Nielsen's first season at South Dakota is complete. So how did it measure up against his expectations? We'll cover that and more during our final conversation of 2016 after this.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Dakota Land Honda, and your Core Trust Bank.
South Dakota's 2016 football season officially came to a close on Saturday with the loss to North Dakota State. For more on the finale and the rest of the season, we turn to the head coach of the Coyotes, Bob Nielsen. Bob, always an interesting dynamic when a team comes into a game with quote-unquote nothing to play for. It can be either a very positive thing or a very negative thing. So as you prepared for the Bison last week, did you get a sense of which direction your guys were going to take that?
Yeah, without question, our guys were going to take the high road. You could tell that it was going to be an important game for our team, and we had a good week of practice, and understanding that for us it was an opportunity to play the nation's best, and I thought our guys showed up and played really hard.
I thought in particular we got a good look at exactly where the offense was at mentally in the first half as they answered each of the first 2 NDSU scoring drives. And on those drives, the passing game played a pretty big role. Combined 152 yards on those scoring possessions. All but 30 of that came through the air. So was there a particular matchup or matchups that you really liked in those situations?
Well, it wasn't as much matchups as the fact that North Dakota State's one of the best rushing defenses in the country. And so if you're going to move the football against them, you've got to be multiple. And I thought we did a good job of getting the ball to the perimeter on some of the throws that we did. And also our tempo caused them some issues and allowed us to get some throws downfield.
Got it to 14-14, but the biggest momentum swing that we saw all day came between the end of the first half, beginning of the second, as NDSU puts up those back-to-back touchdown drives.
Yeah, you'd like to keep them out of the end zone there on that drive right before half. And they executed really well, made a couple of big plays on third down, and got the ball in the end zone, and that's where I thought our team really showed a lot of character when we got down 28-14 early in the third quarter, and the way defensively we came on and responded, and offensively picked up the pace.
Yeah, I mentioned that defense. They really picked it up at that point, got a couple stops, forced a couple of turnovers, kept the Bison off the scoreboard from that early third quarter possession on the rest of the day. It really kept you in the game.
Yeah, the two turnovers obviously stopped one of which could have been a scoring drive possession, and gave our offense a chance. And even though we sputtered a little bit in the third quarter, I thought we got back rolling in the fourth and moved the ball very consistently.
Got back within 7 on the touchdown pass to Alonje Brooks. On the move again on the next possession, but end up being faced with a 4th and 9 from the Bison 24 with about 5 minutes to go. Decision time for you as a head coach, right? So can you take us through that thought process?
Yeah, it wasn't really that much of a decision. Down by 7 points, a field goal still puts you in a position where you need a touchdown. And so we felt the thing to do was to go for a touchdown and try to tie the game, or even go for 2 and try to get ahead. And you know that the Bison are going to do 2 things. Number one, they're going to play great defense and make it hard for you to get the ball in the red zone, so you got to take advantage of every red zone possession. And number 2, they're going to be able to control the football. So if you don't score there, they got a chance to close the game out.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you would not get the football back. NDSU able to run out the clock, secure the win, handing you a 5th one-score loss, 28-21. You finish up 4-7 overall, 3-5 in the Valley. So as you look back now, as of today, how would you characterize your first season here in South Dakota?
Well, certainly a crazy year with all the close games. A year that probably, honestly, with the kinds of games that we played, could have been anywhere from 1-10 to 9-2, and I think our guys understand coming through this year how close we are, but yet how far we have to go to be a team that can consistently compete for a conference championship.
Well, you say goodbye now to 14 seniors, a group that, as you said last week, has been a big part of this program's transition to Division I and the Missouri Valley Football Conference. I know you didn't recruit them, but how do you feel about those 14 guys?
Really a high-character group of guys that are going to leave a sense of tradition here, from being a team that maybe was at the bottom of the league to a team that now is considered to be a competitive team in the league. And I know they want this forward movement to keep going, and I think they'll be some of our biggest cheerleaders in the future.
Finally, as you head into the offseason now, have you identified a greatest need or area of improvement for your football team?
Well, we've got to continue to move forward, both from a physicality standpoint. We've got to be a team that's more physical in the offense and defensive fronts. We've got to be a team that continues to improve in all aspects fundamentally, and I think that's what this spring is going to be about, along with the need for an outstanding recruiting class.
Yeah, recruiting. It never stops, right? I mean, you're getting right to work already, and you guys are going to be busy here over the next several weeks. Well, Bob, things may not have turned out exactly as you'd hoped this season, but it has certainly been an entertaining ride, and we certainly appreciate you letting us tag along all season long, for taking the time to talk with us each and every week. So really, thanks a lot.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Well, coming up, we're going to officially close the book on the 2016 football season. Andre Fields offers some final thoughts in our final edition of Saturday Storylines after this. Well, before we put another season of South Dakota football behind us for good, we want to get an honest assessment of where things stand as of right now. Bob Nielsen, of course, gave us the coaching perspective on that. Now we're going to get A chance to see it through the eyes of a Coyote alum. Midco SN analyst Andre Fields wrapping up his 5th season with us here on Coyote Corner. And Andre, I want to start with one of the biggest themes of 2016, and that was the close game. South Dakota saw 9 of its 11 contests decided by 7 points or less. They won 4 of those, lost 5. What does it indicate to you?
It indicates that this team offensively is right where you want them to be, and that's a tribute to the coaching staff as well as the players. But to get to where you're very competitive in pretty much every ball game with a brand new offense and brand new guys running that offense, that says a lot about their ability to get them together, get them learning it quickly, for the guys to buy into that offensive system, and then it does bode well for going ahead into next year.
And doing it is one thing, doing it in the Valley, I mean, that much more impressive? Or is it? I mean, because Bob Nielsen has said, we're not in it to be close. We're in it to win.
Well, doing it in the Valley, not necessarily for me because it's Bob Nielsen, and he's won in the Valley, so he knows what it takes to get that done. It was just a matter of getting it done in the new system, new uniforms, new environment, and he did that. All
right. Well, as a former player now, what excites you most about what you saw in year 1 under Bob Nielsen?
What excites me most is that there's some real promise. I mean, you think about this. They could legitimately have been 9-2 this year, the first year for this staff, first year for a lot of these players. Once they get more comfortable, not only in the offense, but with the coaching staff in general, they should make strides forward. Hopefully, with the recruiting, with an extra year and time underneath their belt, we're going to see some improvements upon that next year.
All right. Well, I asked Coach Nielsen this one a little bit earlier. Going to ask you the same thing. Coyotes heading into the offseason now. What's the biggest need or area improvement you think they should be focusing on?
Well, obviously, I think that's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. I think the back end of the defense, they're going to have to show up some things. I mean, experience was good for a lot of the young secondary. Obviously, in the middle there, they're going to need to shore that up. I think with recruiting and the extra year in the weight room and with the staff, they'll be a lot better team defensively, but that's the most pressing need at the moment.
And that's an X's and O's thing and a depth thing, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, finally, put your prediction hat on. All things considered, when you and I talk 1 year from now, how is the narrative surrounding Coyote football going to be different?
You know, I think next year they will be a playoff team. If not, they will definitely be one that's going to be looking at the selection committee Sunday and wondering where they're going to fall. So I think next year, if they can put this all together, all things considered, I think we'll be looking at a playoff team in the Valley finally for the University of South Dakota. And if not a playoff team, one that expects to be, and will be waiting anxiously that Sunday at this time next year.
And again, that's what Coach Nielsen was brought here to do. That's what he is trying to establish within his program. And as we saw this year, they weren't that far off. You get a few more of his guys in there doing things the way he wants to do.
A few more balls bouncing differently.
Absolutely. That's all it takes sometimes. All right. Well, Andre, once again, appreciate your time all season long. I can't believe we've been doing this 5 years, but it's been a blast, and already looking forward to next year with you.
Me too.
All right. Well, Miles Bergner, one of 14 seniors that called it a career on Saturday, or did he? We'll have an update on the Coyotes' all-time leading scorer when we come back. On Monday, Miles Bergner was named the Valley's Special Teams Player of the Week for the 9th time in his career. Seems like a fitting way to wrap things up for the Longmont, Colorado native who has rewritten the South Dakota record books. Kelly Stewart has more on the Coyotes' all-time leading scorer.
It's not every day that a kicker-punter hybrid with the talent of Miles Bergner comes around. Saturday marked his last performance in a Coyote jersey, but he left the Dakota Dome satisfied with his senior year.
I think it's gone really well. I think the stat sheet speaks for itself in that respect. I always think I could do better. I'm never satisfied with my performance, but overall it's gone really well in my opinion.
Though he's had some impressive kicks this season, perhaps the one that sticks in Coyote fans' minds the most is the 2015 game-winning field goal at number 2 ranked North Dakota State.
I think that was a turning point for this program. I think that if you look back at what happened before that game and what happened after that game, I think it shows kind of that belief that we belong here and we can do whatever we put our minds to.
The team effort win was something Bergner said he'll never forget. But as for the kick,
it was just one of those spur-of-the-moment things. At halftime, Munchie, my holder, told me that we're going to need you to win this. And I was like, sure, man, whatever. And then I realized that it was tied, or they were barely beating us. Sure enough, we come back and we pull one out. So it was definitely awesome, and it was a special moment. I'll remember that forever.
Fast forward to 2016, and Bergner has booted even more clutch kicks. The double OT winner against Weber State, a 50-yarder in Grand Forks, and two 41-yarders in OT frames at Indiana State all come to mind. Before the fourth quarter hit zeros on Saturday, he was the FCS's active leader in career field goals with 56. He's tallied 276 career points and became USD's all-time leading scorer with a first quarter field goal at Indiana State. But his punting can't go unnoticed either. Number 16 ended his time at USD after averaging 47.5 yards per punt in 2016 to lead the nation, and last Saturday averaged 51.8 yards on 6 punts against the Bison. Even though his Coyote career has come to a close, Bergner certainly isn't done playing football.
I've been selected to play in the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, so I've assured myself another game in a red helmet. So that's pretty special. After that, hopefully a pro day and maybe a combine visit. I don't think I'm going to get drafted by any means, but I hope I get a workout with a team.
The NFL Players Association Collegiate Bowl takes place on January 21st in Los Angeles, but the players are treated to a week-long, all-expense-paid trip to the greater Los Angeles area leading up to the game. It'll be aired nationally with around 200 NFL scouts, GMs, and head coaches representing all 32 NFL teams in attendance.
The South Dakota volleyball team hope to follow up their regular season championship with a Summit League tournament title. We'll recap the Coyotes' run in Denver next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Dakota Land Honda, and your Core Trust Bank.
And welcome back. Well, how special has this season been for the South Dakota volleyball program? Well, consider this. Less than a week after securing their first Summit League championship, the Coyotes nearly swept the league's postseason awards. South Dakota took home 4 of the 5 individual awards at Thursday's awards banquet. Audrey Reed was named Player of the Year, while Brittany Jessen was selected as the league's Setter of the Year for the second consecutive season. Elizabeth Lotion garnered Freshman of the Year honors, and last but not least, Leanne Williamson was tabbed as the Summit League Coach of the Year. After that, the focus returned to the court. Coach Williamson and the Coyotes opening Summit League tournament play Saturday in Denver against North Dakota State. The key for this one would be balance. South Dakota had 4 players finish with at least 10 kills, led by Reed's match-high 14. They also hit 30% as a team. Defensively, USD was led by Lauren Madison, who recorded double-digit digs for the 25th time on the season. This one never in doubt. South Dakota takes it 3-zip, ending the Bison season for the second straight year and earning their first ever trip to the Summit League Finals. That's where they would meet top-seeded Denver. The Pioneers were the 2-time defending tournament champs, and they certainly looked like a team that had been there before. DU shot out to big leads in each of the first 2 sets and went on to win both of those comfortably. Coyotes did battle back to win the third behind Player of the Year Audrey Reed. The senior put together another big night, finishing with a match-high 15 kills. But this time it wasn't enough. The Pilots took control halfway through the 4 sets, scoring 11 of the final 16 points to put the Coyotes away. Denver wins its 3rd straight Summit League title, 3-1. They move on now to the NCAA tournament, while the Coyotes end their historic season with a record of 25-7. All right, our final story tonight involves a member of the South Dakota coaching staff. Derek Miles currently serves as the Associate Director of Track and Field for the Coyotes, but he also happens to be a 3-time Olympian. His best result was a 4th place finish in Beijing in 2008, although it appears now, 8 years later, that he may be moving to the medal stand. Miles received word last week that the International Olympic Committee had stripped 10 medalists from those Beijing Games for doping. That group includes bronze medal winning pole vaulter Denis Yurchenko of Ukraine, who, like Miles, cleared 18 feet 8.5 inches.
I think when my agent called me and kind of gave me the scoop, I was kind of initially like, wow, I can't believe this is really happening. And then as it sets in a little bit, I there's always this competitive mindset that says, I just should have been on the day. I was good enough to do it on the day, and I should have just got it done. But at the same time, I think, I'm not at all nervous about signing for the box if it comes in the mail. I'll go ahead and do that. But I think in the ways that I would have envisioned having a medal, I don't think that's it. But it certainly is something that is important to me.
Now, as of today, Miles says the only thing that's official is Yurchenko's disqualification. And while it appears he is on track to be declared the new bronze medalist at some point, he's not sure what the exact process or the timetable for that might be. So for now, he'd gladly settle for a different update.
I guess from my perspective, it would just be nice to see something officially changed in the record. The medal and all that stuff, we'll sort through that stuff later, but at least some sort of official result that says this is what's going on, and I think that would be at least kind of calming, you know what I mean? But to kind of this halfway where, okay, well, we've DQ'd the bronze medalist, and then all of a sudden the train stops and we don't know what happens. I'm sure it's probably in the process. All of that stuff's way above my pay grade, but in terms of when that will come out and what the next step is, that's I'm probably a little bit too low on the totem pole to know that.
What a story. We will be sure to pass along any updates we get on that, but for now we are out of time. For Kelly Stewart, I'm Jay Elson. Happy Thanksgiving from all of us here at Midco SN. We'll see you back here Wednesday, December 7th for our next new episode of Coyote Corner.